podcast, the podcast dedicated to telling the story of Midland through the eyes of their employees. I'm your host, Jeremy Wiltz, and with me today, we are honored to have Susan Spielman. Susan serves as our Care Access Line coordinator and has worked at Midland for 15 years, and we're super excited to hear her story today. So welcome, Susan.
Thanks. It's really exciting to sit here with you.
So like we've done in the past, I would love to start out our conversation by learning more about what led you to Midland. What made you come to Midland 15 years ago? What was interesting about Midland to you then?
Well, my story might be a little bit different because so often in the years I've worked here, people come to Midland because we served someone they loved. And although Midland has served people in my family, I really came here because I wanted a summer job. I school nursed, and I nursed for 15 years, which is odd when I think about that piece. But for 15 years, I school nursed for 501. I loved it. But my kids had grown up. It was time to kind of do something different. And I always worked in the summer. So I decided to apply for the job. And it was in the Care Access Line. It was not called that then. But I took the job totally anticipating on working June through August. I was going to go back to school nurse. But something got me. It just weaseled its way under my skin, I think. And I fell in love with what, at that time, it was just hospice, but what hospice did in my community, and really enjoyed being a part of it.
For those that may not know exactly what the Care Access Line is, can you tell us a little bit about what the Care Access Line is and how it serves all the service lines of Midland?
It is the starting point of every phone call that comes into Midland. So there are 6 people in that office, give or take, every day of the week. So we are even covering Saturdays and Sundays now from 7 to 7 is our hours. And we get phone calls from just community people asking, how do I make a donation? Or we get a community person, wanting to volunteer. But we also get phone calls from families that have a sick loved one or a family member that needs resources in the community, and they don't have any idea what to do. So we are able to direct folks in Northeast Kansas, basically, whether they need services like that PACE can offer, or what our Thrive at Home can offer, or we've got Meals on Wheels now. Anything that Midland can provide, the staff in my office really need to be able to talk about that and kind of figure out maybe a good starting point of where a service might help them. And so that's basically everything from nursing needs to anything less than a nursing need or a business need. It is just a ground zero for the phone calls, really.
Yeah, and I've spent some time sitting in the Care Access Line, and for those that don't know, at one time I got to work with Susan on a daily basis, and the number of phone calls that your staff fields on a daily basis and interacts with families and patients in their time of crisis or their time of need, is really impressive what you guys do each and every day. So it's super fun to go in there. It's a fun group. If anybody has a few minutes, just so you guys know where they're located in Building B, towards the back. If you're walking down the hallway past palliative care, it's in the back on the left. Come in and say hi if you're in the building for sure. So Susan, we know that you came for a summer job. So what keeps you here? What has kept you here for the last 15 years and makes you want to come to Midland to work every day?
It's a job that I have truly learned to appreciate, and it's a real honor to be part of someone's life when they are so they're so fragile. The people in our community need us so much, and we get them at their rawest moments. And we really are able to help people. And I kind of looked at it over the years as, that when I was a kid, they'd have those posters where you would stare at them and they'd be dots and you'd move your head back and forth and you could see this beautiful picture come in. And that's kind of what the Care Access line, we're one of those dots in that mosaic, but we're really helping people in our community. And when you know that there are people that are able to fulfill their loved ones' last wishes because of one little thing you were able to do, or to direct them to the right program, and they're able to stay at home that much longer, and it's a fulfilling job. It makes you feel good about what you do, and it's my town and my community. And I've also really appreciated, because it's a not-for-profit organization, and I've always, I'm business-wise, I'm probably not the sharpest tool in the shed. And so what I've kind of appreciated and learned over the years is that Jeremy, for instance, or other vice presidents at Midland throughout the years, I've, honest to goodness, always felt like they had our community's best interests at heart. So even though I may not understand some of the business decisions and some of the marketing decisions, some of those other things, I truly in my heart believe that it's a company that I am proud to work for, which makes it a great fit for me and what I believe in.
Yeah, I think what you said is really impactful and really encouraging to everyone that works here. The idea that yes, we are a business, but we are a business with our community at the forefront, and at the very tip of everything that we do is what is best for patients, what is best for our community. So in the Care Access line, you get to hear lots and lots of stories. You've told me some of those stories over our time together, both funny and serious, meaningful and impactful, all in different ways. Could you kind of tell the people listening a story or two about something that just exemplifies, what you feel like Midland is about?
Absolutely. So the phone calls vary. It's always, a box of chocolate, like Forrest Gump might say, but you never know what you're going to get when you answer the phone. One story I like to remember is there was a participant in one of our programs, and, we all got to know him pretty well, because sometimes people tend to call more often than other people. So we knew this guy pretty well from the phone calls, and I'm listening to one of the Care Access line nurses, and she says, "Well, why did you bury your medicine in the front yard?" And oh my goodness, I listened to, it was Julie. Julie talked to the participant for probably 15 minutes. And she talked to him. Okay, he has this person actually buried medication in his front yard. And she was so kind, so respectful. She never made him sound like he was wrong, or that something was wrong with him because he did something so foolish as to bury his medicine in the front yard. And so I get to listen to those girls or the women in Cal really speak to people that have some pretty special needs, in just a way that makes my heart grow. The Grinch heart grows a little bigger. And even yesterday, I had a family member call, and I happened to be the one that took the call. She says, I think my sister is dying. I need help. And so I listened to this sister, and she tells me the patient's name, and her birthday is 1965. Well, that's the year I'm born. So she is my age. So it starts getting real personal, and you start thinking about your own family. The patient had very little access to health care. We could not get orders from a primary care physician. The phone call came in maybe at 3:00 in the afternoon. We were able to get that patient admitted to hospice care at home, provide them the GME they needed, including oxygen, hospital bed. We got her medications. And that patient's at home being cared for by loved ones. She didn't want to go to the hospital. She didn't have to go to the hospital. And to be able to do that in a couple of hours' time, it just amazes me. And that is when it takes the whole village to come around. You know, I took the call. I was able to get doctor's orders from our doctors. I was able to find a nurse to go admit the patient. We were able to get our DME company to get the equipment there fast. It just really, on days that are hard, when you remember the things like that we're able to accomplish, it brings me back to why I like to be here.
Yeah, and I think both of those stories really, they're impactful to me, and knowing the Cal staff that you have, it's super exciting to see every time that they meet a patient exactly where they are in that moment, whether it's in crisis, whether it's something that, you know, we may find silly or not as important as other things, or it's they're a family member of a loved one taking their last breath. You guys meet them at every moment. And I think that is so, it sets us apart as an organization, that we have a group of nurses and non-clinical staff that sit there and meet every single person that calls into this organization and meet them exactly where they're at. And I think that's so exciting. So Susan, you've been here for 15 years. We're going to hold on to you for longer, I know. So what excites you about where Midland's going and what we're doing, and what makes you want to continue to come to Midland each and every day?
The vision that Midland has for the future, I am lucky enough to get to hear bits and pieces of that. And it's just continuing to care for the folks in Northeast Kansas and elsewhere, how PACE is growing. PACE was I started out as hospice, and that was what I knew and kind of fell in love with. But PACE is such a great program, and to see it reaching out to others in Northeast Kansas that need that care. We just continue to grow and try to meet the needs of other folks in our community. And that I get the opportunity to really, meet great people and do some exciting things. I'm lucky enough to get to take some on-call sometimes, and it gets me out of the office and see some patients face to face. And I have the opportunity to maximize what I have learned over the last 15 years and just appreciate it and feel appreciated, I think is something I really need to say, because I feel appreciated coming to work and being part of this organization.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head for why there's many here that come to work at Midland each and every day. And I'm excited for the future of Midland. I agree with you. For those that don't know, Susan has helped with our joint venture, Community Care Hospice, and got to spend some time in Central Kansas as well, and did so very, very willingly, and has made a huge difference out there as well. So we're thankful for all of your input in that and being a part of that future. So we have kind of tried to start the tradition of asking a lighthearted question to end that is a surprise to the person. And she's giving me a look right now that she's just waiting for me to ask. So the question I'm going to ask you is, when you were a kid, what was your dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I don't think you'll believe me if I tell you it was a nurse. But it really was from the time I was a little kid. Now, I did not become a nurse until I was into my 30s, so it wasn't what I did at first. But I think ever since, little kid, it was going to be a teacher or a nurse, and nursing won out.
And actually that doesn't surprise me a bit. For those of you that haven't got the opportunity to meet Susan, she's one of the most kind and caring people that we have in this office. And we are super blessed to have her and look forward to continuing to have her as the leader of our Care Access line. So Susan, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sitting down with us. And We will be back again with another episode next month of the Midland Moment Podcast.